In the first half, the Blazers were leading by 4, and it's Damian Lillard. You go find me a player who's been better in this postseason than him. His 35th three of the series, most threes in any playoff series ever. He would finish with 28. Now under 5 seconds to go in the third. Nuggets down by 6. Monty Morris had himself a night. He scored 22. It was a 3-point game going to the fourth. Under 7 minutes to go in the fourth. Now Nuggets are just down 1. That's Nikola Jokic with the 3. He would score 36. Denver takes the lead. Under 4 minutes to go in the fourth. Nuggets by 6. Austin Rivers with his own 3. Nuggets scored 65 points in the second half. They were pulling away. Just under 2 minutes to go now. Nuggets leading by 6. It's Jokic from Morris. Jokic had 27 in the second half, and that's all she wrote. Denver wins 126-115, moving on to the next round to face the Suns. And then after the game, Damian Lillard posted this on his own Instagram. That photo, and as you can read, the caption says, "How long should I stay dedicated? How long till opportunity meet preparation?" Which is quoting Nipsey Hussle. But as I come back to the players here, Kendrick Perkins, how should someone read that? What should someone take from what Damian Lillard posted?
I mean, he's frustrated, Greeny. He's frustrated. When you think about it, look, the man had 55, one of the best playoff performances that we witnessed in Game 4, right? I mean, in Game 5. And then when you think about how deflating that is, when a guy like Dame Dollar has put this organization on his back for 8 years, like you start to wonder. And no one would discredit or look at Dame any type of way if he decided to leave Portland, because we know what he did. We know he tried to stick it out. We know he didn't run from the grind. But at the end of the day, as a player that's getting up, I think he's 30, 31, he's getting up kind of in that age of, he don't have too much of his prime to waste. And he's looking around. He's like, man, hold on. It might be time. It might be time for a change. It might be time for me to go somewhere else. And no one would be mad at him. I know I wouldn't.
I think that's right. He is 30 years old. So, Legs, if indeed this feels like it might be the beginning of that, how would you envision it playing out? What do you think would be the best scenario for him?
Yeah, I love the word that Perk used, frustrated. I'll even go maybe another level, exasperated. I'll also say this word, Greeny, envious. And you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about him sitting around year after year, going home in the first round for the most part, and watching stars paired up on other teams make great runs and win championships and have parades and all those things. And we have admired Damian Lillard because he's been in a small market team. He's been that guy that it seems like maybe he's going to stay with one team his entire career. And we've admired him for that. But the problem is this. At some point, you feel like when you're dropping double nickels on teams in a postseason game and losing, you feel like you're banging your head against the wall. And you start to realize, I'm probably closer to the end of my career than the beginning of my career. So do my priorities start to change a little bit? And there is nothing wrong for him to think that way. He cannot be blamed because the landscape of the NBA dictates that that's what you're going to need to do if you really want to have a chance to win a championship. Think about this. He's never even favored in series for the most part in his career. As great as he is, every postseason he goes into, he's an underdog right off the bat, whoever they're playing. So I look around the league, and you start to think about other teams that maybe could be a possibility for Damian Lillard. I don't know if his mind is there. I mean, he sent that out right after the end of his season. You know how frustrated he is sending that out? So maybe he has time to think about it, and he's going to stay in Portland, and that's going to be long-term for him when he has time to think about it over the summer. But right now, in the moment, there's no doubt he's going to sit back for the next 6 weeks and be envious of what he's going to watch as star players pair up and they make long runs in the postseason. That's got to be difficult for a guy this talented.
Yeah, remember, he played 4 years of college, so he's older than you may think he is. He'll be 31 in July. Let's leave this here for the moment. We have much, much more on this from both of you guys and others. Everything that could possibly have gone wrong went wrong for the Lakers.
They pretty much just kicked their ass. I mean, there's nothing else really to say. It's been a roller coaster for us all year, especially with injuries.
LeBron and Anthony Davis out. The Lakers lost again.
How much ground do they lose come playoff time?
The Phoenix Suns have beaten the defending champion.
It's been mentally draining, spiritually, emotionally draining. And given everything we had up until this moment, made a better man win.
For the first time in his NBA career, LeBron James loses in the first round of the playoffs. The Suns eliminate the Lakers last night. And here is Tim Legler getting up with us this morning. Tim, what does this loss mean for LeBron?
Well, personally, I honestly don't think it means anything. And I think people that are trying to pile on right now, it's almost as if they're speaking as fans. There's some of these media people because they wanted to see the Lakers move on because they think it's better for the league and it's more interesting. They need to stop with all that. The Lakers got basically what they deserved because they treated the regular season like a 72-game exhibition season. They put no sense of priority in the season because they thought ultimately at the end of the day, they have Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and they'll figure it out when the time comes. And they made some great additions in the offseason. And on paper, they looked unbeatable coming into the season with what they added. But the truth is, you cannot go through the regular season without prioritizing what you're doing. And that's kind of how they acted. They were a team coming off a championship that felt like, hey, we got a lot of vets. We're going to be fine. We don't care where we end up seated. And it's just not the case in the Western Conference anymore, particularly when you have guys that were injured. You have guys that missed as much time as LeBron and AD did. So for me, this whole thing is just a culmination of what was headed their way based on how they treated the regular season. You can't play with a lack of urgency and expect to just show up, flick a switch, and get two great players on the court and make it all happen, particularly when one of those guys ends up, re-injuring himself once you start the postseason. And, Greeny, you're playing against a really, really good team. So long-term and legacy-wise and all of those questions about LeBron, it doesn't affect him at all. LeBron James is the second greatest player of all time. And this is subjective. Anytime this conversation comes up, that's where he is on my list. This doesn't drop him down to third or fourth or anything like that. Now, maybe someday down the road, somebody can catch LeBron James, but not in the foreseeable future. But to me, this doesn't knock him down a rung on the legacy ladder. This is what I expected to happen with the Lakers, really, with the way they treated the regular season. It was just a matter of, is there talent enough to get this train back on the tracks? And I gave him the benefit of the doubt that was possible, but I am not surprised by the outcome of this series.
I hear what you're saying, and most of me wants to agree with you, but there's another part of me that says if Anthony Davis isn't hurt, maybe everything they were planning would have worked, which leads me to this question. If LeBron is going to get back to winning another championship in his career, is Anthony Davis just too injury prone to be depended upon to be the guy to help him do it?
I think so. I mean, I think I felt that way about Anthony Davis really his entire career. Now, look, he was able to get it together a year ago in these unusual circumstances down in the bubble. And, who knows how that ultimately would have played out if that was a normal season and a normal postseason. Bottom line is, though, they did get it done. They got it across the finish line. They got a championship. And he was there, and not just available, he was sensational throughout that run. But we know what Anthony Davis is prone to, and we just witnessed it again. And I give him a lot of credit. People are trying to beat him up and beat up the training staff. It's really, you can't win anymore if you're an athlete. You go out and try to gut it out because you want to try to help your team avoid elimination, and you get beat up for that because you potentially re-injured yourself. So I give him credit for trying last night to go out there, even though it wasn't very smart because obviously right off the bat, he couldn't move. And a limited Anthony Davis, to that extent, is not going to help you win a game. You need a healthy player in that spot. So it wasn't the smartest, but I give him credit for at least going out there and gutting through it. But this is Anthony Davis's history. You have to know it. And if you're talking about a long-term contract for mega money, yes, there's absolutely concern if you're LeBron James, if you're the Lakers, about his availability when you're going to need him most. There is no question that is fair to think of Anthony Davis in those terms.
Let me ask you one more on this on LeBron, because I agree with you, this is not a statement about his historical greatness. But are we now at a place? Oh, and we do have Big Perk, who joins us as well here. Kendrick, we've been having some technical issues. Wonderful to have you. Let me ask, I'll ask you this question first. Borky, I'm just going in a whole different direction. LeBron's historical greatness is in stone. Legler, I agree with everything you just said. But at this point, at this stage of his career, at this age, we kept waiting to see him become that Game 6 LeBron that we've talked about. Is that just a part of the past now? I mean, you can't do that for an entire lifetime. Kendrick, are we no longer at a place where LeBron James can just put a team on his back the way he used to and carry them all by himself?
Well, Greeny, I think so. And when you think about it, think about this. He said last year that we're going to run this offense through Anthony Davis. It's the reason that Braun wanted to run the point guard position, because he wanted to go through AD. And I think at that moment in time, we were witnessing him actually hand over the keys to the vehicle, to the car, to Anthony Davis. And I think Braun knows where his body is at. He's still a guy that could go out there and get you 25 points a night, but is he a guy that could put a team on his shoulders and still carry them through multiple playoff series onto the finals with him being the number one guy leading the charge? I don't think so no more. And it's okay. I mean, he's going into his 19th season. This is why Anthony Davis, like Tim Legler was just saying, great point, his health is so important.